is challenging on your body. It was a challenging thing for me to adjust to. I was more used to pitching every 5 days or 6 days or whatever, and it was challenging for me to get used to that. But you know, I liked it because it's sort of, as a pitcher, like you're only getting the competitive juices going as a starting pitcher once every 5 days.
Right.
But as a relief pitcher, you're ready to go every day. It's sort of like being an everyday player. So it's kind of good in that way. But it took an adjustment, to answer your question.
Do you recall your first outing for the Emeralds?
Yeah, it was against the Cubs minor league team in Boise, Idaho, and in front of 5,000, 6,000 fans. And it was pretty exciting, I pitched, I think I closed out a game that game. I came in, pitched the 9th inning, I believe, and we were up like 4 or 5 runs. So it wasn't really like a closing situation, but it was pretty fun.
Good to get your experience.
It was great to get the experience, and it was neat going up against them. And I actually was going up against a guy I played against in college. I don't know if you remember a kid out of Notre Dame who's a football player and a baseball player, Jeff Samardzija. Yeah, I was going up against him. He was with the
football player.
Yeah, he was a good football player. He spent a little bit of time here and there in the pros. He's
at the
you know,
Cubs organization.
with the Cubs, and
He actually made it all the way up.
right, we got drafted the same year, so we were the same age, and I pitched against him that particular game. So.
Yeah. Are there any life lessons you received from playing professional baseball? About like responsibility and stuff?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, life lessons. I saw a lot of people there at the professional level that only knew how to do one thing, and that's play baseball. You know, if I messed up as a baseball player, I could go home and use my education to make money and have a living.
Right.
There were a lot of people out there that went from high school right to the pros, and they were barely hanging on for life, say for instance playing baseball. Once they got released, and it was just a matter of time, they didn't have anything to fall back on. So one of the things that I could pass on to anybody is to make sure that you get your education, because that can stick with you forever. You know, I had a good baseball career, but eventually injuries caught up, and it was it. So basically, you got to always have that plan, the backup plan. That's a good lesson I learned. And another lesson would be hard work. A lot of those guys got there because they worked hard, and they were successful because they worked harder than everybody else. And I saw how hard each one of those guys worked during their everyday life, and it shows that hard work gets you to where you want to be. There's no secret about how those guys got there. They worked their butts off, and they became the best at their craft because of their great work ethic. So that's another life lesson I learned there.
Just a couple more questions.
Yep, no, that's fine.
These are just questions that I have. Is it true you pitched against Dustin Pedroia?
Yep.
And you struck him out?
I got him to ground to first base.
Oh, you did?
Yep, got him to ground to first base, and
what's it like?
Funny thing about that though is I got him to ground to first base to open up a game. He was leading off Arizona State, and the second time I faced him, I threw him a curveball, and he got a bunt single off me. That curveball I threw was the last pitch I threw for about a year or so, because that was the last pitch I threw before I had Tommy John surgery. Because I heard a pop in my elbow when I threw that curveball, and that meant that I snapped the ulnar collateral ligament in my elbow and had to go through the rehabilitation surgery, which
came right out of the game.
I actually hung in the game for a little longer because I wanted to tough it out, and I thought I was okay. I just thought I'd pitch through it, and I got hit around a little bit that game because I hung into that game a little longer than I should have.
And my last question. As a sophomore in high school, my ultimate goal is to pitch in college. What are some tips you can give me?
Let's see. As a sophomore. So right now, the most important thing you should be doing is doing good in school.
Right.
Setting yourself up so that hopefully when college coaches take note of you in the next couple of years, you'll never have a college coach turn you down because you can't get into the school. So always make sure that you have good grades, because I've seen a few too many people say get turned down or overlooked by a college because the college will just say, hey, I can't get this guy in. I'm not going to.
They got the same talent, but one guy has.
You got it. There's plenty of people out there that could do fine at the college level playing baseball. But the thing that separates some is some people have to go to junior college or can't get into the college because their grades being bad. So that's number one. Number two is having a goal, and each and every day having a plan and executing that plan, working hard and driving yourself, and understanding that no matter where you are, no matter how hard you're working right now, there's somebody working harder than you. So, that's just something that I always did. I always went to practice every day, but I stayed late. I went early. I stayed late, and I did stuff on my own extra, and did everything more than just what I had to, you know. And I tried to tell the high school players when I was the coach there too, that if you just did the 2.5 hour practice that I put you through, fine, you'll be average, you'll be fine, we'll win a few games, we're not going to be superior though. But if you guys go through the practice, and then after practice, you know, do even more, put in more work, and focus on what you need to do as a player more, you're going to be a championship team. So if you want to be a champion, a person that reaches your goals, play Division I baseball, maybe get a shot to play in professionally, you've got to do everything more than just a regular person. Okay? And, you know, it might be boring. Baseball is a game of monotony, doing the same thing over and over and over again. You know, same repetitions. If you're a pitcher, repeating your motion, getting in front of a mirror, just doing the exact same stuff. If you're a hitter, you know, on a batting team with a net, just hitting ball after ball after ball. You know, in batting practice at the high school level, you might get, what, 20 swings of practice?
Right.
You know, and for live BP, if Nesta's having a good day throwing, okay? That's if you're lucky. You got to go home and take 100 swings, soft tossing, okay? Hitting balls off the tee. You know, if you're a pitcher, you got to stick around. And instead of doing the 10 sprints at the end of each practice, you got to do pulls back and forth to make sure you're conditioned to finish the games. You just got to do everything extra in order to get there. And that's what I could say I did in order to get to where I got, to have my college paid for, to get a shot to play professionally. I was talented, but I saw a lot more people with a lot more talent than me that fizzled out before I did. And the reason why is because I always worked harder than a lot of them. And eventually, you have to get lucky too. In some cases, I didn't get lucky because my body sort of broke down on me after a while, but give yourself a chance by working hard. That's one of my best pieces of advice for you. But before we even talk about baseball, it's academics. How, are you good at academic?
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, you're setting yourself up though, okay? Because I had here at Medford High School, you know, I was like a 3.4, 3.5 student, B plus, yeah. But literally, the coach of Columbia and Harvard was in my living room trying to get me to go to Ivy League schools, even though I wasn't an Ivy League student. I was a good student, but I had a skill to play baseball, and they wanted that skill. Because I had over a B plus average, they could get me into that school. So you can open up so many doors if you're a solid student, you know, and if you're a person that excels baseball-wise, you have a coveted skill that school wants, and you just got to make sure you're marketable and have those grades, at least the minimum grades to get into that school, because it opens up so many opportunities for you. And I chose UConn.
Might die soon.
I'm done. I mean, I chose UConn because of the combination of athletics and academics. I mean, I could have gone to Ivy League school, but that was more just purely academic. I wanted at least a shot to play baseball professionally, and I chose it because of the combination. Anything else?
That's it. That was the last question.
All right, cool, yeah.
All right.
Good.